I don't know if you can see that. See the little gator? He's probably 12 inches long, so he's just about a year old. Here he comes, he's coming after my lure. Oh, why are you here? Why are you dumb enough to come right up to me? All right, that's enough of that. See you later, buddy. Good morning and welcome to Lunker Fishing. My name's Gerry. I'm a twin troller boat owner and a lifelong fisherman. Well, you may recognize this. And yes, these are tourists. We're in Central Florida. And the majority of these people have no idea how many toothy critters live in this part of the country. No, this is not the gator that we're talking about. These go on the twin troller. We're talking about this gator, an alligator. You should not feed them. You should not harass them. You should not touch them. It's against the law. These animals look at us as a source of food, just that they can get food from us. What does that mean for fishermen? Because we do our thing in the same place that they live. That can be a real issue. This is a small pond that I sometimes fish in. There's two large gators here. A couple of days before this, I was catching a bluegill on the shoreline, and the larger gator snuck right up to me. He was probably about 6 feet before I realized he was there. That could have turned out to be pretty bad.
His back is sinking down.
What you see here is the behavior of a normal wild alligator. They don't like humans, and they don't want to be around us, and they will leave as quick as they can, which is okay with me.
See how he's looking at us with his right eye. He can't see directly behind himself. So he points his head over a little bit to the right so he can see us. If we were right behind him, he would move his head left and then right, left and right from side to side.
At first, you may not see this large alligator on the shoreline of this public park. But look again. Alligators often live in communities with lakes that have houses all the way around. And usually, they're not a problem. But you may ask yourself, how did they get here with houses all the way around the entire lake? This is how they walk here. They walk right between the houses to get to the water. They come from another lake someplace and they walk. Eventually they wind up in a lake behind your house. But sometimes I've seen them crossing the road in the middle of the day. Usually it's at night though. This is normal behavior for an alligator. The ground here is tipped in an angle so that it faces the sun, and the alligator comes out of the water, lays in the sun to get warm. That's normal. You remember the alligator at the beginning of this video, the little one? That one was probably fed, and that's why it kept trying to come up closer to my boat, thinking that I probably had food. That small alligator will probably grow up to be a problem and have to be terminated at some point, just because somebody thought it was cool to feed the alligator. Even locals that should know better think it's cool to feed alligators sometimes, like they're pets, until the alligator decides that they want more than what you have to offer. What if this lady had a child with her? It was on the news that this lady fed parts of her husband to this alligator. Nice lady. Here comes the gator. Told you he'd come and find me. There he comes. Or she. And look who's coming. Here comes the gator. He wants to eat it. I have to watch the fish. And I gotta watch the gator because that gator is about 4 years old, about 4 foot long. If you measure from his eye to the ball on the end of the nose, that's about 4 inches. That puts about him about 4 years old and 4 foot long. Alligators grow a foot a year for the first 6 years. After that, they become sexually mature, and then they change the way how they put on size and certainly weight. You can't tell if that's a male or female, but a female will only get to about 7 to 9 feet. The males can get well over that, up to around 14, sometimes even 15 feet, and weigh over 1,000 pounds. So I don't know whether this is a male or a female. But apparently he wants to come over and say hello. But I'm not interested to petting you. A couple of days later, in this same body of water, I'm fishing and I catch a fish. I pull it up onto the shore to take it off the hook. This alligator came charging out of the water. I snapped the picture as I was backing up, dragging the fish behind me up the hill. I had to walk down several houses to let the fish go because the gator kept following me. Well, guess what happened next? When you feed an alligator, he loses his fear of humans and associates food with humans. When that happens, you have to call a Florida Nuisance Alligator program. I'm the one that was designated for our community to do that. The alligator has to meet a certain criteria, and then they send out a trapper. Here is the trapper. I've known this man for a long time. I helped him catch this alligator. It was in the dark. We used flashlights and a technique that you use with a fishing pole. We finally got the alligator and we dragged him up onto the shore, and here the trapper is taping his mouth shut, and then here you see the alligator in a secure box in the back of his truck. This is another pair of trappers that were brought in to remove another alligator, nuisance alligator we had in a different body of water in the community. This alligator was fed and eventually became a problem, and it had to be removed. Most people think that alligators are removed to another body of water, to some alligator rest home. That's not the case. They kill them, all of them. The alligator becomes the possession of the trapper, and he sells the carcass to a processing plant. They do this as volunteers, and that's how they get paid. The meat can be sold to restaurants. It's not uncommon here to see alligator on the menu. The hide can be tanned and used to make boots, belts, purses, things like that. In stores where tourists shop, you can often see the heads of alligators mounted, or the claws of the alligator are attached to a pole so they can use them as a back scratcher. And you will see necklaces made of alligator teeth. Can alligators be an issue around fishermen? Sure they can, but if you take the reasonable measures, the alligator won't bother you if you don't bother them. I used to have a high-end 12-foot fishing kayak. April and May is the mating season for alligators here in Central Florida. On May 5th, several years ago, I had a 12-foot alligator come after me, probably because it was mating season and I was about the same size that he is, and he probably saw me as a challenger to his area. A week after that, on the same body of water, I had another large alligator, kept stalking me and getting very close. That's when I sold that kayak and bought the Twin Shoaler X10, the world's best fishing boat.